Hello everyone, I'm ExtraCheesy87 and this is Let's Play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Part 33. In the previous video we entered into what seems to be probably the final stage of the trial. The end of the game draws near, probably only I would say we have around 3 hours left. So probably 2 to 3 videos depending on how it goes or whatnot. So that's pretty exciting. I might be able to finish the game today, which would be fun. We're interviewing Day Killer because for some reason he has decided to testify via wireless transceiver. We don't really know why he's testifying yet, so let's see if we can figure that out. We can hear anything you have to say later. Can you please just tell us your clients? I don't think you understand your place, Mr. Attorney. I said this is something I must first state. Do you know what the word first means? Sorry, go on. Well, it appears this is one witness you can't badger, Mr. Wright. That's only because you don't know about Maya's situation. The trust between you and your client? I provide my services in a fast and efficient manner. In exchange, I trust that my clients are discreet about me and my identity. If too many people knew my face, it would be quite troublesome. And that is why you're testifying in this manner? This is the first time one of my clients has ever been accused of murder. I must preserve the Day Killer name so my clients can trust me. But couldn't someone stab you in the back and break your trust? It has never happened before, but if it ever did... Yes? That person wouldn't be my client for very long. They would certainly... That's enough, please. No more. Very well. I was only a hypothetical anyway. So maybe we have to convince him that On Guard was going to turn on him or was going to try and blackmail him, and then he'll... That seems a little strange to me. Also, I got my controller working again. I had to restart Steam for some reason. I don't know why it was causing that. Now, it's working in the bare sense. I am hitting the X button now, and there we go. Nothing was happening. I mean, you're about to tell... It's just so much more comfortable for me to just put the controller in my lap. I would think that this would be very bad for them. It doesn't matter to me. Because I will admit, having that... Because my hands are, completely fucked, in all honesty. So, having them on a mouse for, an hour or more can be kind of, painful. Just straight, kind of keeping it in that position, so... It's nice that the controller is not an industrial strength vibrator anymore. This client has already broken the rules and acted outside of their prescribed role. Their role? This person tried to implicate another of their crime in order to save themselves. And this is a trespass that cannot be forgiven. Who gave you the right to be so high and mighty? For the gentleman who spoke just now, excuse me, but would you care to die? No, I didn't say anything. I still got a long life to live. I'm only 23. The judge had better watch himself. It is my... Okay, did you say this already? Whatever, get holded. We understand, so please tell us the name of your client. I'm afraid I cannot do that. I still have a few things to say before I do. That egomaniacal... Egomaniacal. I was I knew I was saying it wrong, but the brain is, fourth video, the brain is beginning to fry. We're on the early stages of frydom. We might actually be delirious by the time we record the finale, which, could be bad, could be good. It's not good for your health to be so aggravated. Now, if only the player would have hit the X button. Boy howdy. Day Killer would love to continue talking. You won't live very long if you let everything bother you. Somehow, that coming from an assassin makes it less comforting. I don't really care about all this extra fluff. Just tell me the name already. Patience. Try to calm down a little. It's important to try and understand his mindset. He seems very steadfast and close. You're going to have to work to get him to talk. I'm not his therapist, you know. You're not his therapist yet. Okay, so we have to repress again? Oh, wait. You already said that your client had already broken the rules. person who frames another is the worst kind of human. And that's why you feel you can betray this person? I have no trust relation with a client who can't understand their assigned role. Just my luck, an assassin with a conscience. Who would have figured? Now then, everyone, do you think you can understand my logic? This case just keeps getting better and better. Does it? Well, I mean, it actually does. It very much does keep getting better and better. If you can't, then I'm afraid we can't proceed. Everyone understands your point, I think. Really. In that case, I believe I'm prepared to disclose the information you seek. You've made it crystal clear that you value trust over all else. I believe we are ready. Excellent. And that is the reason I'm here today on this witness stand. Yeah. Reveal it. What is it? Now I can't bring myself to ask the client's name. If you can't ask it, Mr. Wright, then I will. Witness! What is the name of your client who requested the murder of Mr. Juan Corrida? That person's name is... Phoenix Wright! I frickin' knew it, dude. Adrian Andrews. What? I knew when they paused like that. I'm like, it's no way it's On Guard, man. Now, it may still be On Guard and he's fucking with us. But I had a feeling he was not going to say On Guard there. What witness? That's not who you told me it was earlier. I mean, he did say it's very important that his client, is not proven guilty. So I assume he's, he's lying? Like all that talk about how he felt like he could betray his client or whatever? Pray tell, what are you talking about, Mr. Prosecutor? I should think I know my own client, and it is Adrian and I did think it was weird that he was talking about framing a client, like, because Matt On Guard has not framed anyone. It was Adrian who was going out of her way to frame someone. What? This can't be! On the phone earlier! What's going on here? My guess is that Mr. Day Killer just stabbed Mr. Edgeworth in the back. Now here's the question. Do I think it's actually Adrian? I could see an explanation for it being Adrian. It would explain, like, you know, how she knew the timing and everything, but, like, you know, when to go in there exactly after the deed had been done and everything. It doesn't really jive completely because Matt has, already admitted to the crime. Granted, we're kind of used to our clients admitting to crimes they haven't actually committed. I mean, it's only happened in like half of our cases before, so... I am going to still operate under the assumption that he's trying to protect Matt and Adrian is actually innocent. If it wasn't for Matt having confessed, I could see a way where they could turn this, and it actually was Adrian from the start. Stabbed Edgeworth in the back? I'm sure in order to get an audience with this court, Mr. Day Killer told him a different name. Matt On Guard, perhaps. I knew it. This is outrageous. I was deceived. This witness is telling a very serious lie. But you were the one who summoned this witness. Ah! You Shelley Day Killer. That'll teach me to trust an assassin. My testimony is the truth. The defendant at the moment is Matt On Guard, am I correct? All I wish to do is help procure his acquittal. Wow. All of a sudden, it feels like we can actually win this. We don't want to win it, though. Yeah. The prosecution has failed to provide a motive and has instead provided the suicide note, which is a forgery created by the victim. Furthermore, there is a possibility the defendant himself knew it was a fake. But most definitive of all, we have heard from the assassin himself the name of his client. Mr. Day Killer's client who requested the murder was not the defendant at all. No. Yes. With all this evidence, it is obvious to me that this means that Mr. Matt On Guard is innocent. I seem to have caused you all a bit of confusion. Please continue your discussion and call me when you have reached a verdict. Bailiff! Please bring Miss Adrian Andrews in immediately! What now? The way this is going, Ongar will be found innocent. This may be our last chance to save Maya. Yeah, but... Edgeworth is right. Day Killer is lying. And Onguard, my client, I know he's guilty. Can I live with myself if I win this? No, you would not. And Maya would not forgive you. So... honestly, I think at the end of the day, the correct thing to do is to prove that he's guilty, but... I mean, it is a little bit like, there is some vagueness there, because Onguard isn't necessarily like, would he be a threat? Because it'd be easier to come to that decision, right? If there was the chance that Onguard would kill again. Because then you're basically, you know, you're trading a life, or one life for many lives, potentially? I don't know. I mean, the fact that he, you know, decided to hire a contract killer this one time doesn't mean that there's no chance he'll never do it again. Like, if he gets away with it here, so by letting him go free, you may be, you know, allowing several other people to die down the line. Like, I mean, I think the correct moral choice is to honestly, like, you have to sacrifice Maya. Now, I don't think the game's gonna, like, do that or anything, but who would have believed that the prosecution's own witness would absolve the defendant? Your Honor, the prosecution requests permission to further question the witness. Surely the killer is certainly lying under oath. It wasn't me! Listen, everyone, please, that testimony just now, it was all one big lie. And then also you have the question of, like, do you think Adrian could actually... well, I mean, she probably gets paid a decent amount. Like, whether or not she would be able to afford an assassin's fee. And I mean, she's a manager to, like, a big star, so I would think she probably gets, like, a percentage or something, right? Miss Andrews? The suicide note may have been fake, but that man, Matt, he's the reason Celeste died. And Juan's death was all because he got pulled into Matt's twisted world. That testimony just now? You have to believe me. It was a horrible, horrible lie. But Mr. Day Killer himself has testified, and I see no reason why we should never trust an assassin. That's what my pappy taught me. He named you as his client. No, that's not true. What if he named you as his client? Well, then obviously he's lying. It's different when it's me. Also, there is quite a bit of evidence that points to you. The knife and the button, donning the Nickel Samurai costume. But that's... you even have a motive. We know that Miss Celeste Impacts was a large part of your life. You wanted to follow her, and you wanted revenge against the two who hurt her. I would say you have plenty of reasons to want them both dead. No. Mr. Wright. You know the truth. Tell them. Tell them the real story. Who the real killer is. Tell them. Please. Help me. Yes, I know the truth. But, you know, we're kind of back in the same position at the end of the previous trial. Like, you know, what do? Do we go out of our way to help the person who desperately wants our help as a defense attorney? Or do we protect the guy who we know didn't do it? Or we know did it? Because it is kind of interesting the way, like, the case is, like, flipped in this case, where Phoenix is actually the prosecutor, basically. Or he's acting as, like, the prosecutor acts in all the previous cases. Where even though they know the truth, they still keep vainly pursuing the opposite. I believe we have reached the end of this trial. Therefore, I ask the defense for any final words or opinions. Like, I mean, I'll say, the story of the trial is really good. I think the beginning's pretty shaky, but it's gotten to be very strong by this point. Really the only prompt I had any problems with was what, the suicide note one? Just because the idea of handwriting analysis has never been brought up before in the series, when there's been like, because I mean, I thought about handwriting analysis, but I was under the impression that, like, they only really care about forensics when it's been mentioned beforehand, kind of like with the gunpowder in case number 2 of this game, where that was fine because they had even though I didn't pick up on it, they specifically mentioned, like, the gunpowder burns just a second ago. Like, that's a forensic technique that the game cares about. Whereas for handwriting analysis, has never been brought up before, so it just kind of feels a little out of left field. Because there's a lot of forensic stuff that the game just kind of doesn't go over, because that's not the point of the game, right? It's not meant to be a super realistic, like crime serial type, whatever you want to call it. I have to decide. Do I take the not guilty verdict and save Maya? Or do I throw this chance away and wait for Gumshoe's new evidence? What am I supposed to do? Phoenix? Can't do it, Mia. I can't accept I'm not guilty. You are a lawyer. I know. But Matt Engard is a killer, a murderer. I can't let him get away with this. I can't let someone else take the fall. Yeah, that's the other option. Like, not only are you not, because the way the justice system in Phoenix Wright works doesn't make any goddamn sense. There's no such thing as a not guilty. There's only someone else is guilty. So the fact that we'd have to throw someone else under the bus as well makes the idea of, like, protecting Engard, like, even more unconscionable. Because essentially, not only are you letting a killer go free, you're killing an innocent woman just to save Maya. So, if I let Miss Andrews be convicted, then I am no better than Engard. And even though I don't want to admit it, I have to face the fact, because honestly that's something I didn't really consider, that, you know, you can't just get a not guilty verdict in these games. Someone else has to be guilty. So, that is because of the Edgeworth. And that is because of Edgeworth that I now know the real truth. He could have gotten Engard convicted so many times over, but he never took a single one of those chances. If I take this verdict right now, I'd be betraying his trust. His trust? Never thought about it until now. I trust him? Yes, you do. Mr. Wright, your opinion, please. Please, my controller. The defense requests that we be allowed to further question Mr. Day Killer. Am I hearing you correctly, Mr. Wright? Right. But, that witness has cleared your client through his testimony. Your job here is done. I'm not done yet. To see through witnesses' lies and find the truth, that is my job, Your Honor. There's still more evidence to look at. I'm hitting the button. Any second now. You know what, let's drink some water while I wait for the controller to reconnect. In any second now, please? And I'm sure that once those pieces arrive here in this very courtroom, a miracle will occur. Some sort of Deus Ex Machina. Very well, the trial will continue. Mr. Edgeworth, please reestablish connection with Mr. Day Killer. Right away, Your Honor. Would you guys leave me the fuck alone, man? I'm busy being an international criminal over here. Has a verdict been reached? Before that, we'd like to talk to you a little bit more. About what? All you needed from me was the name of my client. What else could you need from me? We need you to confirm something. Does the word 9 inches mean anything to you? Is it the truth? We desperately need to figure this out. Well, actually, we would like to hear everything you know about this case. That is how things are usually done. What is he talking about? Usually done? But what shall we have him testify about now? Mr. Day Killer, if you don't mind, please testify with your client in more detail. You legal people and all your procedures. Is it any wonder why no one likes to go to court? See, you see the way the thing's vibing? That's what my controller was doing in the last video. Just constantly. As I've already stated quite a few times, Adrian Andrews is my client. However, one thing I simply cannot overlook is tampering with the scene of the crime. My client did it to frame another for the crime. While pretending to be the first person to discover the body and enter the scene, Adrian Andrews always knew from the very beginning that Juan Corrido was dead. But even more appalling is the creation and planting of the button and knife. That act is what I was referring to when I said my client had broken the rules. This was the most unexpected turn of events for the 5th time now? More like 50th. However, this time everything has finally been revealed. Maybe? No? How long is this damn game anyway? I will say, this trial has given Rise from the Ashes a run for its money. It honestly might be like as long. At least in terms of Let's Play. Granted, we also like struggled a bit more, especially in the trial cases, and we had like those videos were a little bit shorter. Because I got frustrated at like a couple of times and ended a little bit early, I think. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? We still have the cross-examination to do. But you don't need to question testimony like this. Do you, Mr. Wright? I do. Your Honor, the defense will question the witness, as if I have a choice here. What? Why? What this witness has said is nothing but beneficial to the defense's case. If you scrutinize the testimony, then I'll expose the lies in that oh-so-beneficial testimony, I suppose. I don't understand what's going on anymore. That makes two of us, buddy. What is it, Mr. Wright? If I press in the wrong way, I might raise suspicions on his end. But I have to do something to waste more time. Witness, about requesting a hit. If I wanted to, say, murder someone who wore red, ruffles, last name ended in Earth, or Thirth, would you be able to do that? Yes. How much is your fee? Ah, I see you're also quite a dark-hearted man, Mr. Attorney. Huh? If you would like to talk business, we can do so after the trial. Ah! No, I'm not thinking of hiring Mr. Wright. If you give us the wrong verdict, your days are numbered, Judge. Yes? You want to kill me? You want me dead, don't you? Oh no, he knows. What? Why would you think something like that, Your Honor? Guilty! Mr. Phoenix Wright, you are hereby declared guilty! It's another thing I do like about this phase of the trial. I feel like there's a lot more humor. I felt like that was one of the reasons why I stayed so mad throughout the first trial of this case, was that there just wasn't a lot of like funniness in it. Because that's like the best way to cure any salt is laughter. Why'd you disclose the name of your client? They're not your client, are they? Are they your client, are they not? I would think that most people wouldn't be able to overlook a person hiring another to kill. If I had a problem with such a thing, I wouldn't be very effective at my job. Yeah, but, well, a change in occupation might be good for you. Have you ever thought about taking up knitting? However, I will say this. Even though I am the one that does the deed, my clients are always the real guilty party. That goes without saying, Mr. Daykiller. I mean, you're both guilty. Yeah, you're both guilty. Don't try and absolve yourself of like, oh, I'm just doing my job. Fuck you. And their fate is to live with the knowledge of their guilt on their shoulders. However, my client this time thought they could run away from their guilt. Are you talking about the button and the knife? Yes, and my business card. Oh, this card. So that no one has to waste their time, including the police, I always make it a point to make things as easy as possible. You try to make things easy? My business card makes it very easy to identify who carried out the service. He's pretty devoted to his work. But to disregard everything, to go and stab the deceased with a knife, and even hide my card from sight, that is something I cannot overlook. Yeah, she really hid it by twirling it around constantly anytime someone walked up to her. It's really hard to tell if he's being truthful or not without him being here. So you're saying most clients wouldn't do such a thing? That is correct. Usually, most people try to create an alibi for themselves. You should use my services, Mr. Attorney. I would suggest you plan for your alibi too. No, I already told you. I have no intention of using your services ever. Well, there is this one guy. He's in a wheelchair, and I feel like maybe... I agree, he already got pronounced guilty. Why does he keep looking at me like I'm the one on trial here? Adrian Andrews always knew from the very beginning that Juan Corrida was dead. From the very beginning? That is correct. From before my client visited the room. All of my clients know precisely what the situation is at all times. I wonder if that's really true. That's odd. But even more appalling is the creation and planting of the knife and button. I'm hitting the button. Any second now? What is the press key? Is it E? Q? While it reconnects, I can at least hit the keyboard, I suppose. Why do you think your client did that? What do you mean by why? Well, fiddling around at the scene of the crime is pretty risky. And why would someone who has requested a murder go to the crime scene anyway? That is true. I assume it was probably done to frame Mr. Ongard. If that's the case, then why didn't the person just request that you do it? Sadly, that is not possible. Huh? My job is to kill, that is all. And I leave my business card behind, naturally. The business card is so my clients may escape blame. To protect them is my duty. Even if they say it's for revenge, setting someone else up for you to take the fall. And that's all you have to testify? Yes, and I pray that I will never be called to the stand again. Again? As in you plan to continue? I must, as I have yet to find a person to take my place and become the fourth successor. Actually, how would you like a new life, Mr. Attorney? You got Maya. You can teach her to be an assassin. That'd be kind of cool. She's got, like, spirit powers, too, so she'd be, like, pretty good at it. With some practical skills? Excuse me? No. I'm fine, really. Well, we'll see what, rent looks like this month. Are you really now? I wonder what kind of man the judge thinks I am now. What are you going to do now, Phoenix? I mean, I did just get a sweet job offer. All I can do now is expose the lies. That's true. However, you realize this will be very bad for our clan, right? I'm so confused. But the one thing I know for sure is that I can't let this trial end yet. I don't know if there's an actual contradiction or if we're just pressing. I feel like we probably have a contradiction since we've done pressing for the last few testimonies. This card. Now, there was the one where they kind of like said, oh, that's odd, so I want to look at this one again. Most clients wouldn't do such a thing. That is correct. Usually, most people try to create an alibi. From the very beginning? That is correct. From before my client visited the room, all of my clients know precisely what the situation is at all times. I wonder if that's really true. That's odd. All of my clients know from the very beginning. I'm thinking. There's the like maybe the transceiver, like he calls in to let them know the deed is done. But we never found a transceiver on her. So I mean there could be that, but I mean I feel like that's maybe what they're going for, but I don't really know if this connects. And even then, like even if we have no evidence that she doesn't have a transceiver that she's hidden somewhere. But I mean, we know OnGuard has a transceiver with his, like, you know, wrist cell phone. I feel like it's something to do with the transceiver. Let's press everything again to make sure there's no... It's not one of those where you have to, like, press something else. Even if they say it's a revenge, setting someone else up to take your fall. Okay, did we repress the first statement? Okay, so you're like, how much is your fee? Guilty, guilty! Most people wouldn't be able to overlook. He's like, yo dog, I'm an assassin. Okay, I think we've pressed this one again already. So I'm gonna try transceiver. I could also see it being something to do with her, like the fact that she was showing the card constantly would mean that she didn't understand what it actually was. Wait, did we do this? Most clients wouldn't do such a thing. So I'm gonna God, I really don't think this is it, but it's one of those things where it's like, you have to try it when it pops in your head. Okay. That's worth a shot. I'm gonna try the card, but I don't know where to put it. Let's press this one more time. From before my client visited the room, all of my clients know precisely what the situation is at all times. All of my clients know precisely what the situation is at all times. If she didn't know, like, yeah, why would the thing have been, there's no explanation for her having knocked the vase over? Because her explanation for how that happened was that she was shocked at seeing him dead. So if she already knew that he was dead, she wouldn't have been shocked and knocked over the vase? Now, I feel like this is a very, like, sound line of thinking, but I don't know if it's actually what they're looking for. I'm gonna try the guitar. Because you see what I'm saying, right? Like, if she already knew he was dead, she wouldn't have knocked the vase over, and there wouldn't be water on the guitar case. Like, after the fact? Probably to frame Mr. OnGuard. And then you say you won't do it. I mean, I still feel like, I feel like there's a contradiction there in the fact that she's waving the card around, even though, like... Like, I feel like there's a bunch of... It's one of those situations where there's a bunch of contradictions in his statement, and you have to figure out what the one the game actually cares about is, which are my least favorite questions. Okay, I mean, there's nothing really there. I'm trying to just look at the... I mean, I feel like it's gotta do something with... this. Knew from the very beginning that Juan was dead. Controller! Please! No? Okay. We'll switch over to mouse and keyboard for a second. I mean, how could she have possibly known? I don't know, man. Please! Work! Buttons! Do something, anything. Okay, I guess we switch over to mouse and keyboard because it will not reconnect now. It's just annoying, man. Okay, there we go. Got it working again. Sorry, I can see nothing faulty. From the very beginning. That is correct. From before my client visited the room, all of my clients know precisely what the situation is at all times. I wonder if that's really true. Okay, controller's just not working. We're switching over to mouse and keyboard, and I guess we'll have to stay on this. It's just, what are the controls again? You present with tab. So... I have no clue what they want. Like, none of this really makes any sense. Like, I feel like the part about the... Like, I mean, it's gotta be something to do with, this line, but none of the evidence that contradicts it works. Try and create an alibi? From the very beginning, that is correct. All of my clients know precisely what the situation is at all times. Nope. I mean, my thought process there was then, like, I don't know, why do you have to bring the bear back if they knew what was going on? But the photo makes more sense than the wine glass. Thank you so much for taking this time to testify, Mr. Daykiller. What does it mean in that attitude? When Adrian Andrews entered the victim's room, your client had no idea Juan Corrida had been murdered. But how? How do you know that? From this wine glass, Your Honor. The glass? Mr. Daykiller's supposed client thought Mr. Corrida had only fainted. Which is why this glass of tomato juice was poured for the victim. See, no, that's not as good of a contradiction. My contradiction's way better. Because you could explain this as like, oh, well, she just did that for her alibi. You know, that was her... Like, that makes more sense than like, oh, because there's no benefit in her alibi to accidentally break the flower pot. Right? Like, if anything, that just made her look more suspicious, and that was the reason why we kind of got onto her in the first place. She even called it a mistake in her original testimony. The flower vase is a much better contradiction than the wine glass. So I'm a little mad. I'm a little mad at that. But isn't that just part of Adrian Andrews' calculated plan? That is not possible, Your Honor. This glass bears the fingerprints of that person. Had this been planned, they would have never left their fingerprints behind. I see your point. Mr. Edgeworth, what is your opinion? Strangely enough, I had the same exact thought just now. Fuck you. Witness, how do you explain this strange phenomenon? Isn't it a waste of time to talk about such a minor detail? It's not a very important point anyway, correct? Wrong. I'm afraid you are mistaken. If Adrian Andrews really is your client as you claim, then your client should have knowledge of Mr. Corita's death. If not, then that can only mean that Adrian Andrews was never your client at all. So I had the right idea, but I really think the photo should work. It should work for two reasons. Like, even if we follow the game's logic, it should also apply because it clearly shows the wine glass in there. And B, it should work because the flower vase, like her, being shocked and smashing the flower vase makes way more sense than as an example of her not knowing that he was dead. How strange. Yes? Why is it that the attorney has yet to raise an objection at this absurd situation? Phoenix. If the killer figures out what we're up to, we're in real trouble. Yeah, I know. Mr. Edgeworth, I'm surprised. You know you can't say things like that without any evidence. Sorry. Well, that was an awfully weak objection for the two of you. Anyway, I am positive there was a contradiction in that testimony. The prosecution requests further testimony concerning when the request was taken. Very well. Right now I have to buy us more time. While we wait for the items the killer left behind to get here, I just know that the very outcome of the trial lies with those items. Request taking. This request came to me about a week ago. I was trying to use the controller again. It just won't work. I gotta give up. It just feels so awkward. Like, I'm so used to playing it with a controller. Let's also move the mic. Because another problem is I've got to like sit closer to my desk, which means I got to like move the mic in like a weird spot. Like I got to move it way back. It was a request for my services on the night of the awards ceremony. We met at a certain bar to discuss and finalize a few matters. That is what occurred. I trust my memory and I believe I have made no mistakes. So you physically met your client, huh? That is correct. Meeting one's client is the first step to building trust, in my opinion. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please? One week ago, are you sure? Yes, I am quite sure. I, of course, have my own preparations, and I was barely able to finish. When you request my services, Mr. Attorney, I hope you'll keep that in mind. But please, man, stop. In any case, my client this time had a very specific date and time in mind. Specific date and time? Did you ask why on that specific night? No. I try to fulfill all the conditions of my client's request. But as for why, I only had my suspicions. Your suspicions, huh? So what are these suspicions you had? Why did your client request that night? I'm sure it was all for the bear. The bear? My client spoke of it. I'm sure there'll be a bear-shaped figurine in Juan Corrida's room. I would like you to retrieve that item for me. You must be talking about this bear puzzle. Inside that figurine was a suicide note. Naturally, the victim brought it with him to his hotel room. He was planning to publicly disclose its contents at the press conference, after all. That is correct. And if I had not done the job that night, I would not have known where the bear figurine was. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, was the testimony just now of any importance? We'll keep going. It sounds plausible, but in the end, it's just his conjecture. No, Your Honor, I don't think it's very important. Well then, witness, please continue. So you physically met Adrian Andrews, right? Of course I did. What was that? What was with the brief pause? Witness, I would like for you to give us a few more details. I always see my clients as a matter of principle. I have never taken a request by telephone or mail. And why is that? That's because I value the trust between a client and myself above all else. And the only way to establish that is to speak with the client while looking them in the eye. In the eye, eh? In the eye, eh? What color are her eyes? I don't really know. Kind of a brownish? A hazel? I mean, it was kind of important. In the sense that if we could, you know, if he says that she looked like something she didn't look like. Of course it was very important, Your Honor. Mr. Day Killer had met this client before the murder, then it's unlikely he is mistaken. So you're saying that his client really was Adrian Andrews? Well, no. I mean, maybe? You see, it is just as I said. Ah! I'm so lost. Who the heck am I supposed to be helping here? Calm down, Phoenix. Think carefully and relax. Okay? At least we didn't get penalized. That is correct. Well, he says the two of them met, but if they did, then there shouldn't be anything wrong with Daykiller's testimony. Well, there doesn't seem to be anything strange this time around. You have to draw more information from him, but you can't draw a suspicion. If you do that, you should be able to find a flaw in his testimony somewhere. Oh wait, no, it's the next one. No, there we go. Press further. Because, I mean, she had access to the bear. And that is... the client knew the secret of the bear figurine. Huh? Wait, why is everyone so quiet? Phoenix! Mr. Wright, I think all of us already knew that. Oh, really? Witness, please continue with your testimony. Can we really believe that your testimony up to this point has been reliable? I don't really know what they want. Hey. I hope you keep that in mind. A specific date and time. I mean, the fact that there's a specific time makes me think that the bear is actually referring to, you know, the bear like not the bear figurine, but or what happens if we let it go? Or what happens if we do this and then say it's not very important? Do you say anything different? You press. Why he meets his client is not important, and that wasn't the point. Witness! Please stop sidestepping my questions. What do you mean by that? My question was, did you really meet Adrian Andrews in person? I have already told you, Mr. Wright, I did. It was only through talking with him face to... Game. He said him. He said him. He said him. It's true what they say about talking face to face. Well, oh, okay, so you have to hit not important to get to the second phase. Okay. I heard what I think I just heard just now. And I think I've got him. Your Honor, I believe the testimony just now is of the utmost importance. Really? If that's the case... Witness, please include the statement just now in your testimony. Very well. So do we just present Adrian as a girl? Is that all we do? I don't actually know. How do I present in this game? Profiles is R. If this doesn't work, uninstall immediately. I would like to go over this one more time. You met Adrian Andrews at a bar and took the request at that time. Yes, that is correct. And that's when you thought he was trustworthy? How many times must I repeat myself? Yes, that is correct. Sorry, but that is an impossible tale. I guess he doesn't actually know that Adrian's a girl, because I mean, Adrian is kind of a, you know, a unisex name. That or he's just like not realizing that he's making a mistake. What? Shelley Day Killer? You have never met the real Adrian Andrews? What? Why would you say that? Because you made one very big slip-up. About her. So what is the issue? What did you say just now? About her? You had ever met Adrian Andrews in person? One look would have told you that she is a woman. You wouldn't even need to look. Okay, that's good. Order of the court? Mr. Wright, what is the meaning of this? The witness testified to the following. That he always meets face to face with his clients when taking the request. But he has never met Adrian Andrews in person. Yes, Your Honor. That is exactly the point. That means Mr. Day Killer's client could not have been Miss Adrian Andrews. Sorry, Adrian. He's sweating oil. Mr. Edgeworth, I understand your logic on this one. However, why would the assassin make such a basic mistake? I believe it has to do with her name, Your Honor. Her name? Yes, Adrian Andrews is without a doubt a very androgynous name. Yes, I see. Unluckily for Mr. Day Killer, the entire time he was on the stand, no one had stated Adrian Andrews' gender. And so he simply picked the wrong gender to go with. What? Well, maybe if you just watch more Rocky, then the name Adrian would be associated with a female lady in his mind. You fool, if only you were more culturally enriched. What is going on? Shelley Day Killer. This court demands an explanation. I mean, come on. You know, contract killing, whatever. We can get over that. Lying in court. I thought you were better than that. I think somehow I must have mixed up this client with another. Does that mean you remember something different now? Yes, of course. Please, if you would allow me to testify once more. I know he's just gonna spit out more lies. Very well, but this time please give us the truth and nothing but the truth. Or so help you God. Slash me. Because in this courtroom I am like a god. People don't care what I have to say until they're in their moment of desperation. Yes, I remember. I took that request by mail. There have been times when I took a job without having to meet my client. I mean, you just said, you've never taken it by mail or phone? The request is for the murder of one, Koreeda, and 2 or 3 other small things. When I saw the name at the end of the letter, I thought my client to be a man. So you took this job through a letter. He didn't mention anything about a letter in his earlier testimony, which means he is definitely lying. Be careful, Phoenix. You break the assassin's testimony completely, it's over for us. I know, I can't make him suspicious, but I think we're okay. Like, we can do this. As long as he's standing there across from me, no matter how strong of a punch I throw, he'll counter it. Now then, let's begin the cross-examination. Alright, you said that earlier. Didn't you get to say that you always meet your clients? Yes, I suppose I did say that. However, there are some clients for whom a meeting is simply not possible. But you did meet your client this time. No, I did not. Ah, come on, let's stop at this game of cat and mouse. Using your silkiest voice is not going to work on me. Alright then, just cough it up and confess. Mr. Wright, you can't badger a witness with such harsh words. You're a lawyer, so behave like one and present evidence instead of mindlessly yelling. Objection! Now then, do you have any proof that Mr... Let's keep tagging along. Not just yet. I see. And your line of questioning was just another waste of time. Sadly for us, Your Honor. That is the nature of right and wrong. It's gonna be the nature of our right and left punches on your face, Edgeworth. Gonna have a mean right hook! And why could you not meet certain clients? Recently, I've been receiving more requests. If I meet each and every client, I would lose some nice business opportunities. Nice business opportunities? On top of which, the times have changed. It is now the age of information and computers, correct? I mean, I am a walkie-talkie, am I not? Well, I've joined the times and now take requests via electronic mail. Electronic mail? Do you have to mail that in a special insulated envelope? You never heard of the legendary and completely cutting-edge technology known as AOL.com, Your Honor? It will be around for centuries to come and will dominate the electronic mail space. Totally. Invest in their stock right now. It's my hot stock tip. It will totally pay off. I'm sorry. I despise the shortening of words. What I meant by electronic mail is what is commonly referred to as email? Email? In a contest of mimicry, the judge would beat a parrot, hands down. Anyway, so you took this job without having to meet your client and... two or three other things? And what were these other things? A few other things that have nothing to do with this case. What should I do? Should I let him slide on that? It'd be really bad if I pushed his buttons the wrong way and got him mad. We'll let it go for now. Sounds like one sharp man. I should try and find a better way to do this without making him suspicious. So you're saying you never saw your client's face, not even once. I mean, I felt like the game was very much telling me not to do it. I did. Once. It was when I went to give my client the figurine. Yes, I see. But Miss Andrews was wearing a mask at the time. A mask? No, she wasn't. The Nickel Samurai mask, I'm guessing? Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about this? Do you have any problems with this piece of testimony? I mean, it does kind of contradict what we heard from, Guy? Like, I mean, she couldn't have had the suit yet unless she had already, because the suit is in, Guy's room, right? One thing does sort of stick out at me, Your Honor. Witness, I think you most definitely saw your client's face. Let's recall Mr. Powers' testimony. And then there's this, right? But, like, I assume, like, if we were under the assumption that the person that he met with wasn't actually that guy, but was her in the stolen costume. After the award ceremony, I went by myself to Matt's room. Matt was standing there in front of his room, still in his Nickel Samurai costume. I like how in this picture he looks nothing like what he looks like in the game. Matt gave the bellboy a tip. You received quite a large roll of cash from Mr. On Guard. And at the time, he was not wearing his nickel samurai mask. Oh yeah, I kind of didn't even think about that. They had met to, get the money? Order! Now that you mention it, I do remember that. Witness! Yes, that night I did wander the floor as a bellboy. I received plenty of tips that night for carrying juice to the various rooms. Is that so wrong? Would you deprive a working man of his pay, Mr. Phoenix Wright? I always knew you were a member of the bourgeoisie. The man who gave me that tip was not my client. He was probably just a very generous person. I'm sorry, but sadly we are not nearly so generous here. If I could receive large rolls of cash by simply bringing people things on trays, then why the hell would I be here? You already said that, Edgeworth. Then why on earth would I stand around here prosecuting? You said that already. Oh, the deja vu. And isn't this salary more than enough for one man? Wait, prosecutors get salaries? Goodbye, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Hello, Phoenix Wright Heartless Prosecutor. And where's your evidence that the large roll of cash was not in fact a tip? Come, Mr. Edgeworth, show me the money. Ah! What? Mr. Attorney? Yes? You know, I think your line of questioning has been a little strange. In fact, I would say you don't seem to believe Miss Andrews is my client. Oh, no, it's not like that at all. I just think lies aren't a good thing, you know? Oh, I know and agree. Lies are not a good thing at all. I think we're on the same page now, aren't we, Mr. Attorney? Remember, if I feel threatened in any way, I am free to cut contact at any time. I'm sorry, please forgive my foolishness. I am but a fool who foolishly asks foolish questions. If only we were this apologetic all the time. Anyway, I do not see a huge contradiction here. What are you talking about? Therefore, you may continue, witness. We've pretty much reached the end of our rope here. Seems like we're still okay to me. And that's exactly what's so bad. At the rate we're going, we'll end up completely destroying Daykiller's lie. If we do that, you already know how serious of a situation that'll put us in. Oh yeah. All I can do now is pray that those items reach us in time. That's one benefit of the mouse and keyboard. It accepts the enter keys faster than if you mash on the button on a controller. I don't really know why, but there's like no real delay when you mash on the keyboard than it is when you mash the button on the controller. What were these other things? I mean, he's really told us not to push him here. We'll maybe circle back around. You never saw your client's face. I did once. I mean, we kind of went down this rabbit hole, but... So, I mean, we kind of already proved the contradiction there. Unless, do we have any way to prove that the money was not a tip? Not really. Let's try this. I assume it'll get us into trouble, but I don't really know what else to do. Whether or not they're related to this case is for the court to decide. Mr. Attorney. Yes, everything I've said from the beginning has been nothing but beneficial to your client, which is why I wonder what is pushing you to continue with this cross-examination. Could it be that you are planning to betray your own client? That's... I smell the stench of a backstabber. I mean, I had to try it. I mean, I knew this was going to happen, but like, in case the game was lying to me, I had to try it. And should you turn out to be one? But wait! Uh-oh, this is looking really bad. I shouldn't press my luck. Is this worth pursuing? But then I'm also like, the game is being so forceful that I'm like, what if I should? I don't know, let's just see what happens. Witnesses is a very important matter. Please cooperate and tell us what these other jobs your client requested were. If that's truly that important, I suppose I don't have much of a choice. The bear figurine. The bear figurine? After the assassination of the target, I was to find that figurine. I was told that this job was just as important as the actual killing. And where was that figurine? It was inside Mr. Kurita's suitcase. And then, what did you do next? I handed it over to my client right away. You gave it to your client. Interesting. This information certainly sounds important to me. Witness, please include what you just said in your testimony. Okay, then why did we find it at Andrews' house? I mean, not Andrews, Onguard's? I found this at Mr. Onguard's mansion. If you gave it to Miss Andrews, then what is it doing there? I was waiting for her there. That was also part of the plan to frame Mr. Onguard, I'm sure. That makes a lot of sense, does it though? Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any problems? Yeah. So the killer says he gave the figurine to Miss Andrews? I know somewhere in that statement there's a contradiction. And yet, now that if I present something trivial here, he will cut the connection on his end. You want to make a strong point, Phoenix? You gotta present strong evidence. Let's try it. Did I say Dr. Wright? Phoenix, let's go over this one more time. You gave Miss Andrews the bear figurine, and she told you to take the bear and wait for her at the Onguard mansion. Is that correct? Yes, where are you going with this? Well, I think maybe you might have remembered a few things incorrectly. What? I don't know where I'm going with this. This is a battle of wits. I can't let up on him. I don't think it's possible for Miss Andrews to have been the recipient of this bear. Because she wanted to... She wanted the figurine to destroy the note. Right? I mean, like, that's the actual answer, but we're in, like, fantasy land right now. I mean, she's repeatedly said she wanted to destroy the note, and she wouldn't have known that it was fake. And she did act with surprise in the testimony. I'm gonna try the note. Failure to kill her. You had really given the bear to Miss Andrews. Then this item should not have been inside it. This item? I see where you're going. Yup, that's where I'm going. Where is everyone going? Do I need to pack a suitcase? Please, Hawaii. Maybe they know the secret to Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Your Honor, please think back to Miss Andrews' testimony. And I was going to burn it for her sake. If even for a single minute this bear had actually been in Miss Andrews' hands, I'm sure she would have taken the suicide note out and burned it. Order! So that's where you two were going. So by the very fact that the suicide note was still inside the bear, it tells us that your client didn't know how to disassemble the puzzle. Which means... It means, Your Honor, that it's impossible for Adrian Andrews to be the client. Order! And Mr. Phoenix Wright. I'm sure I mentioned this before. How I hate traitors above all else. I think our cross-examination has clearly demonstrated something to me. You must wish to break your end of our agreement. No, that's not... That's enough. If that is your intention, then there's only one thing for me to do. Wait, please! Gentlemen, ladies, please excuse me. I have a matter that I must attend to. No, please! Not that. Please wait. Mr. Attorney, bring this trial to a speedy end and I may stay my hand, otherwise. What in the... Mr. Wright, are you... Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. I didn't understand this witness's outburst just now. Do you think there's a need to hear more testimony, or is this enough? And we'll find that out in the next video that will also probably be the finale. Unless the game ends in like 30 minutes, then we'll just like tack that on to this video, which I doubt we'll be ending that soon. So, unless the game has like 3 hours to go, next video will probably be the finale. We might make it like a super long video. Otherwise, it might just be like a normal length video. I don't know. End of Let's Plays are always weird when it comes time to like, you know, deciding which video is going to be the actual finale or not. I am Extra Cheesy 87. Stay tuned for the next part. And bye, guys. Hello, everyone. I'm Extra Cheesy 87, and this is Let's Play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Justice for All Part. What could be the finale? If this game ends anytime soon, in like less than 2 hours, this will probably be the final video. Otherwise, we will be splitting it up into 2 parts. Maybe. I'm probably going to record for about 2 hours. I got 2 hours left to record for the day. And we're just going to push through and see if we can beat the game. Well, we should. Edgeworth, we can't do this. If we keep this up, Maya, she'll... The prosecution, What has come over everyone? Even you are... The prosecution... rests. What is going on around here? The prosecution has no further questions, Your Honor. What? What? Well, I never thought I'd see the day. This is the most unusual situation. The prosecution rests with no further questions. Then, the prosecution has failed to uphold its stance. If that's the case, then even though I'm reluctant, I must believe that Mr. Day Killer's testimony is accurate. That would mean that Shelley Day Killer's client is Adrian Andrews. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? If I end the trial here right now, then your client, Matt Ungard, would be declared innocent. And in his place, Adrian Andrews would be charged with murder. Miss Andrews would be charged with murder. The prosecution has no further questions, so we will now hear the defense's final remarks. Bailiff, please bring the defendant Matt Ungard to the stand. Guidance from Day Killer's hideout didn't make it in time. We tried as hard as we could, but it looks like our time has run out. Can't believe it. The outcome now lies in your hands. Dude, did the old guy finally decide? To be honest, I can't think of you as a truly innocent and good person. You've done enough evil to drive a woman to suicide. Dude, that's just like your opinion, man. But at least on the charge of murder, it would appear you are innocent. So, I guess even the old fuddy-duddy figured me out. Mr. Ungard? What an atrocious lawyer I have, giving his old client up like this. Isn't that refreshing like a spring breeze crap? It's just as atrocious, don't you agree? Anyway, get on with it and pronounce me innocent already. Right, Mr. Lawyer, I've got orange juice to drink. Should I side with justice, or should I save Maya's life? You better get Ungard a guilty sentence, okay? But if I did that, Maya will die. Phoenix, the game is called Justice for All, not Justice for Maya. But if I say he's innocent, And this Andrews will be charged as a murderer. Do I say he's guilty or not guilty? Either choice I make, someone's life is going to end. It all hinges on what I choose. Now then, Mr. Wright. Let's hear the defense's final statements on this matter. If the person who hired the assassin was Adrian Andrews, then your client, Mr. Matt on Guard, is innocent. There's no need to ask, old man. After all, my lawyer is going to say what I want, aren't you? Right? I can't do this, but I have to decide something. I can't count on the evidence to help me anymore. I have to listen to my heart. Client, Matt on Guard. Motherfucker's guilty. Like, here's the logic, right? Someone dies either way. And, you know, obviously we like Maya more than Adrian. But it's not simply a life for a life situation. The fact that you would be letting Matt on Guard free would mean that you're potentially killing, you know, who knows how many people down the line, considering he's obviously a very malicious individual and could very easily do the same thing again. So just on that raw, like, moral stance, I feel like you have to declare him guilty, even though it obviously, like, fucking sucks and, like, that sense. If it wasn't if it was just a situation where it was like, do you choose Maya's life or do you let him go free? Then I feel like it's a much more clear-cut decision, or it's a less clear-cut decision, I should say, or it'd be easier to pick Maya, like, to do the kind of, like, non-righteous thing and actually sacrifice justice for the sake of your own personhood, or for, like, your own personal wants, and to save your own, like, dear personal friend. But if it's a situation where someone else would have to be murdered, essentially, it's very hard to justify a not guilty one. We are waiting for your answer, Mr. Wright. Matt on Guard, your client deserves an answer. Maya, I'm sorry. Matt on Guard is Francesca. Oh. Francesca von Karma? My client is. What are you doing here? Ah! I've got my own boombox now too. I'm just as cool as you, edgy boy and Phoenix Wright. You see now, don't you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? This is exactly why you should never take your eyes off that scruffy fool. Did you bring them? The final pieces? Do you have them? The secret to why kids love Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Sorry. The joke will be dead when we finish the game, but I'm gonna keep referencing it for now because it makes me laugh. You should know better than to ask that, Mr. Miles Edgeworth. I do love a good running joke. Von Karma is perfect in every way. The evidence is here in perfect condition. Aside from all of Gumshoe's blood on it. Don't worry about Scruffy. He's fine and his injuries are minor. All of the items are inside this. What a filthy old coat this is. That's Gumshoe's. I can spot his tattered rags anywhere. I apologize for its ugliness, but there was nothing else to wrap the items in. I fought long and hard this whole trial. All for what is inside that raggedy coat. I'm sure that inside the coat lies a crucial piece of evidence. Your Honor, inside that filthy coat are the defense's final pieces of evidence. Your final evidence? This trial is already over. All that remains is for me to hand down my verdict. I do not believe that any evidence presented now would change the outcome of this trial. What? Your Honor, it is our duty to examine every piece of evidence down to the last. I request that Ms. Von Karma be allowed to present those pieces of evidence. I suppose you are right, Mr. Edgeworth. I grant permission to do so. However, this one obvious rule applies here. If these items do not bring up any new points, then they will not be accepted by this court. Now, Ms. Von Karma, if you please. These pieces of evidence are left by Day Killer during his escape from the police. He must have been in quite a rush. Yes, Your Honor. Day Killer left 3 pieces of evidence. Somewhere among the evidence we're about to see, there will be something that will turn this whole situation around. Like a miracle. I'm sure of it. That is all we can hope for. I mean, this doesn't really solve the main problem of, like, Maya's still kidnapped. Like, we could have easily proven his guilt at any point, right? I don't really know where they're going with this. The first item is a pistol. I assume that's the one that shot, her. Does Day Killer's pistol have anything to do with this case? I mean, we know that it's probably the pistol that shot Francesca, but I don't think it's important here. That's the only thing I can really think of. So I'm gonna say no. I'm pretty sure there was no gun involved in this case. There's no real benefit to hearing about it. Please present the next piece of evidence. Okay, the videotape we want. Yeah. Have you checked the contents of that tape? Unfortunately, there was no time to. Oh yeah. But I would speculate this tape is very important. Why would you say that? Because he came back to his hideout for it. Day Killer went back for it? That's right. It looks like he was trying to recover it. He injured 3 of the officers at the site. But somehow, it looks like they managed to protect it from Day Killer. Shelly, Day Killer is no ordinary man. So, I mean, is there any reason not to ask? I kind of thought we'd maybe get, like, in trouble. A bellboy uniform. I mean, you may as well. Was that used during the crime? I am almost certain it was. There's even a pair of black leather gloves in one of the pockets. No doubt about it. Day Killer was wearing this on the night of the murder. There's one thing I found interesting about this uniform. And what is that? There's a button missing on this uniform. A button? It's a very unique button. I'm sure if we were to recover it, it would provide us with an interesting clue. One of its special buttons is missing. Could be that maybe there was a struggle and it got ripped off or something? Granted, I mean, I feel like Day Killer would have been able to just get the complete drop on one and there wouldn't have been much of a struggle. That is all I have to present, Your Honor. It's just as I thought. And what is that, Your Honor? I'm sure were we under normal circumstances, these items from Shelly Day Killer's hideout would be very important clues. However, our question is not who did the killing. It's who is the client. Yes, that is correct. And these 3 items do not tell us anything about that. Thank you for your hard work, Miss Von Karma. You may step down now. Wait, Your Honor. Please allow me to examine this new evidence. Overruled. This court already has all the evidence it needs to hand down a verdict. Wonderful. Absolutely splendid. This judge is such a brilliant man, isn't he? Is this the end? Phoenix. Knew it. There's no such thing as a miracle in this world, is there? I think you're wrong. I think they do exist. I mean, hell, I'm a dead lady. But you have to make that miracle happen. You've come this far. You can't give up now. Blast him with your mind power. Send him to the Shadow Realm. But no matter how you think about it, it's... Try. For my sake. Just think about it for a second. There are 2 ways out of the situation for us. 2. The first... Make On Guard wish from the bottom of his soul for a guilty verdict. Huh? Day Killer will also place his client's wishes first. If On Guard himself wishes to be convicted, then he will let his hostage go. That may be true, but that's asking me to do the impossible. The second way? Force Day Killer to end his contract with On Guard. Now that's probably the easier one. If Day Killer were to no longer think of On Guard as his client, then he would let Maya go. So I'm assuming what we're going to do is something I mentioned earlier, the idea of using that videotape to prove that On Guard intended to blackmail Shelly, and then use that to, like, maybe that's like a violation of his trust. Mia, that's even more impossible. He's a man who values his duty towards his clients above all else. But, I mean, that is a two-way street, right? I know both of these seem impossible feats at first. Oh, so I know what could happen. If we could convince, or maybe if we could get Shelly to break the contract, and maybe he'd be, like, so pissed about the idea that he was going to be tried to blackmail that he's going to try and, like, get revenge. Then, or we could convince Engard that Shelly would want revenge. Then Engard might want to go to prison in order to protect himself, right? But if you could make either one happen, it would truly be a miracle. The bigger problem is, the judge has already said he doesn't need any more evidence. The pieces he was just shown, he's not accepting them. Phoenix, think things through from the other side. Isn't that what has always worked for us? The other side. Wait, does she mean... You mean... to turn things around? Phoenix, the judge says he doesn't need the evidence. If that's the case, then who does need it? The person who needs the evidence? The defense, prosecution, and the judge. We have seen all the pieces of evidence. And that is how we have come to know the truth. There is one person who has yet to see them all. And that person does not know the truth. That truth, it may be what will bring about the miracle in the end. There are no objections this time, correct? Now then, I will pronounce my objection! Why don't we all respectfully sit back and listen, kids? Come on, man! Why you gotta do me like that? I have already told you, Mr. Wright. This court does not need any more evidence. I'm not saying that it's us that needs the evidence, Your Honor. Then, you want to show the evidence to that person? Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, for you to ask with such passion, I will grant you one chance. One chance. Please show your evidence to who you think is the right person. I mean, I feel like it's... I mean, in my head, I'm like, we want Shelly to see the tape so that he'll break the contract, but how is he gonna see it? I mean, I guess it's gotta be math then. That's impossible to turn the situation around in one try. One try. That is all I will permit. Gotta try and remember. Everything that has happened up to this point. Think, Phoenix. Think. There must be a way to save Maya while taking Engard down at the same time. Now then, Mr. Wright, let's not waste any more time. Who would you like to show the evidence to? I mean, it's gotta be Matt, because there's no way for us to show it to the killer, right? So I'm gonna go Matt, even though my brain says Matt, my heart says stay killer. I see. And now, tell this court, what one piece of evidence would you like to show this person? Well, what do you think, Mr. Edgeworth? I don't have anything to say to this. How about you, Miss Von Karma? Well, I was just shot, so... That's a good excuse. I cannot allow the defense to continue. What? Oh, come on, man. No one understands what you're talking about anymore? One more chance. Just let me load the save, man. Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. Like, just let me reload. Don't give me, like, an extended bad end or nothing. Let me ran away from the courtroom and wandered the streets alone. Yep, uh-huh. Never saw Maya again. Daykiller is a man of blah, blah, blah. Oh my god, it's going so fast. I can't read it. I was not hitting the button there. It was scrolling that fast. The miracle never happened. Maybe it was never meant to. Because a miracle is something that doesn't exist. Yeah, whatever. God, I hate bad ends, man. Especially when they're like, oh, you picked the wrong option, blah, blah, blah. You're, oh god, don't give me a fucking achievement, you piece of shit. It's like a badge of shame. I mean, like, how do you show it to Daykiller? How do you show it to Daykiller? That doesn't make any, like, there's no logical way, but I'll try it. Oh, wait, did we get it? Bailiff, please. How are you gonna, it's a transceiver, you dumb pieces of garbage. Please bring up the transceiver from earlier. Alright, it looks like I managed to convince him. I mean, like, that's actually, that guy kind of pisses me off, because there's no logical, like, why does this game punish you for thinking? She's okay, right? Didn't I tell you to concern yourself with bringing about a speedy end to this trial? Now, if I understand correctly, you wish to show me one piece of evidence? How do we show it to you? You're a frickin' radio! One is all I need. I have here a videotape. It was found at your hideout. I heard you injured 3 officers in your attempt to get this back. That was most regrettable. However, it was an order from my client. I was told to protect that videotape. I thought so. I'm afraid I seem to have failed in that regard. Do you know the contents of this tape? I was sternly told by my client not to watch it. So I have absolutely no idea. Actually, you are on this tape. Me. There was a video camera hidden at the crime. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, you can describe the contents of the video to him, but he has no reason to believe you if he doesn't actually see the video, which he can't because he's a fucking radio. There was a video camera hidden at the crime scene. Your actions are being recorded. What? Is that true, Mr. Wright? Who was it that planted a camera? Well, the only person who could have placed the camera at the scene of the crime would be your client, naturally. That was Adrian Andrews. Be quiet and listen, Your Honor. Yes, sir. Your client specified a place and time for you, isn't that right? Yes. No one said they could film you. I had no idea. Mr. Wright? Why would my client do such a thing? I would like to know why. Why did Matt on guard film the crime scene? The reason why, I mean, it's for blackmail, but I don't know what evidence to present for blackmail. There's only one reason why your client would secretly film the crime scene. Oh, there we go. They don't have to present any evidence. They wanted blackmail. Your client once told me something very interesting. We were talking about you, and this is what they said. But I'm no weakling. I don't believe anyone, least of all assassins. Oh, come on now, Mr. Wright. Assassins aren't above blackmail. Yes, that's where the video comes in. With that, I can keep him at bay and even blackmail him if I want. Your client didn't trust you at all. They were thinking of using this video to blackmail you. What do you have to say to that, Shelly Daykiller? I mean, would it really be blackmail? Because, like, we already know he's the killer, right? I mean, and he was disguised, so, and they already kind of know what he looks like. It looks like I was being deceived from the very beginning. Yes, by a natural. That is the kind of person they are. Your client is a person who only thinks and plots how to use the people around them to protect themselves from any and all dangers that may arise. That is the true nature of your client. I have one question for the witness. Yes? You told us one thing numerous times during your testimony. You said you detest traitors most of all. Yes, that's right. But what if that traitor was your own client? What would you do then? It's obvious. I would break our contract in that case. And then, That client would become my next target. For the honor of the day killer name, even if it takes an eternity, I would follow that person to the ends of the earth to exact my punishment. And now we want to show the gun to Guy and be like, if he could get Francesca, he could get you. I see. That's all I wanted to know. But the traitor becomes the killer's next target? I get it. This is how we'll turn this case around. Mr. Wright? Yes? My contract with my client is over as of now. I seem to have a new job on my hands. I will now return to you, your precious item. What the? I'm not an item! Not that hungry, after all. I thought I'd never see you again. You didn't see her, you heard her! This game does not know what the word see means! Oh, thank goodness. This trial appears to come to its conclusion? However, I am sort of... I don't quite know what just happened there with the client and the witness. Ah! Miss Von Karma, where did that... She always has you in her sights. Now, I do believe it's time to finally hand down a verdict. Mr. On Guard, looks like somehow you got what you wanted. You'll finally receive the acquittal you wanted so badly. You should be happy. But before that, I would like to make one final statement. Sometime in the near future, one very betrayed assassin may appear before you. Needless to say, that man is very good at what he does. I'm sure you would understand what I mean if you were to watch this video. Help me! Now then, Your Honor, the verdict, if you please. Is this alright with you, Mr. Wright? We have finally reached the end of a very long battle. Whether he's convicted or acquitted, there's no escape for him now. Go on, Phoenix. Plead whichever way your heart tells you. Right, Chief. Plead, I mean, let's plead. I mean, if we plead not guilty, maybe he'll be like, no, make me guilty. But I mean, we should just, this isn't a trick, right? Like, they're not, just let me plead guilty, man. Matt On Guard? Don't trick me, man. Even though I'm a lawyer, I cannot make your crime disappear. I think a guilty verdict is appropriate here. Me, my wonderful self, guilty. Even if you got an acquittal, the instant you set foot outside of the detention center, your life would be in danger. No matter which way you look at it, you can't run away from your crime anymore. Oh, my man, he do be clawing. I am surprised you never actually had to, like, cross-examine Matt On Guard. As always, it looks like we have uncovered the real truth. I don't remember you helping out much in this. Mr. Edgeworth, how's Matt On Guard? Dude's fucking dead. I have left Miss Von Karma in charge of his incarceration. I'm sure he's getting a full-course meal of whipped leather right about now. Mr. Edgeworth, did you just admit to police brutality and even kind of brag about it? Yeah. Okay. Very good. That was a close one, wasn't it, witness? Yes. I plan to pay my debt to society for my own crime, Your Honor. First time I was called to the witness stand during this trial, all I felt was despair. You must be talking about the time Edgeworth really went after her. I guess she's trying to forgive him for what he did. This witness, how should I put it? She has an illness. If you're going to say you would choose death, that is of no concern to me. But after that, when I was alone at the detention center, that's the first time I really saw myself for who I am. And today, when the two of you used your combined strength to convict Matt, I I felt like I had finally been saved. Wow, this is the first time I've ever seen her smile. I'm really happy that you two were in charge of this case. I really don't know how to express how I feel at this moment. This is the first time I've ever felt comfortable with myself, with who I am. So, thank you so much, everyone. It looks like we have resolved everything at last. As for myself, there are still a few things I'm confused about. Like, how the hell did he see the video? I mean, come on, they clearly said, who do you want to show the video to? Like, he didn't see anything, he was just described. The video could have maybe not even existed. It could have just been Matt Unguard's old 80s porn collection. I mean, come on. Shit doesn't make any sense. But everyone seems to be in good spirits. And that is good enough for me. That is all. This court is adjourned. So it seems like the game's ending a lot faster than I thought. I don't know. We might just tack this on to the last video. And yeah. Because, I mean, it's looking like things are definitely going to end in under an hour. You were great out there, Phoenix. What I did out there was right, wasn't it? It was Phoenix, right? This is the first time you've not gotten your client off. You got them a guilty verdict this time. But you have to look past all that to what's really important. You now realize that there is something more than just getting a not guilty, right? Yeah, I understand now. I mean, we've always knew that, it's just all of our clients were fucking innocent in the past. Phoenix, think back for a second. Think to the moments before Ms. Von Karma arrived with her final pieces of evidence. Think about the incredible decision you had to make. Now then, Mr. Wright, let's hear the defense's final statement on this matter. I can't count on the evidence to help me anymore. I have to listen to my heart. Should I side with justice? Should I save Maya's life? My client, Matt Ungard, is... Is he guilty, or is he not guilty? Those are your choices then. And your answer? Doesn't fucking matter. We don't care. Your answer spoke to what being a lawyer means to you. Right. Edgy boy, what's up? I have good news. We are now best friends. I mean, Maya is now safe in police custody. Do you want to go eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch with the judge? Oh, you thought the stupid joke was over? You fool! Really? Pearls, you're telling us the truth, right, Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, she's quite safe. She is on her way here as we speak in a patrol car. Mystic Maya is safe! You did it, you really did it, Mr. Nick! Ow, she punches deceptively hard for a kid. Spirit punch! I believed in you. I kept saying to myself, Mr. Nick will save her. Mr. Nick will save her. But technically you couldn't have said anything because you were like in the shadow realm or something. You know, like you're not conscious whenever you're possessed or something? They've said that? Thanks. What's wrong? Miss Von Karma? Banana? About earlier. Thanks. Ow! Why are you still smiling, Mr. Phoenix Wright? You lost! Your perfect win record has now been crushed. What? And yet, you are still happy? I don't think you'll ever understand, Miss Von Karma. How dare you? Don't worry. She may in time. After all, I was like that myself until a year ago. Edgeworth? For my own personal victories and for the guilty verdicts. I used every dirty trick in the book, and so my win record remains spotless. But a man appeared and stood against that selfish me. I fought in my usual manner and tasted my first defeat. I felt like I had lost everything because of that. And then it was my turn to sit in the defendant's chair. And I was saved by that person I called my enemy. I couldn't forgive myself for all that had happened, so I left the prosecutor's office. And I left that note. Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth chooses death. As well as you should have. A prosecutor who shamed himself with defeat should crawl into a hole and die. On Karma, you've lost as much as he has. But that was not what happened. After I left the prosecutor's office, I finally came to realize something. And it was in that moment of clarity that everything began to change. What foolish nonsense. We prosecutors use anything we can to attack the defendant. But every time we did so, no matter how desperate the situation, instead of giving up like most people, that man would hold strong with his undying faith. And then before I knew it, I began to trust in that man as well. What? You trusted your enemy? Doesn't matter how many underhanded tricks a person uses, the truth will always find a way to make itself known. The only thing we can do is fight with the knowledge we hold and everything we have. Erasing the paradoxes one by one, it's never easy. We claw and scratch for every inch. But we will always eventually reach that one single truth. This I promise you. The truth. Yes, that's the reason why prosecutors and defense attorneys exist. But I'm sure you knew that already. Didn't you, Wright? That's why you couldn't forgive me. This man who went into hiding. Isn't that right, Wright? This man who only had his sights set on victory, who ran away into the night. Is Mr. Edgeworth right, Mr. Nick? You really let me down. When you disappeared, I felt betrayed. The reasons I decided to become a lawyer to begin with was because I believed in the things you said to me. All those years ago. And you betrayed your own words. That's why, 1 year ago, I made up my mind. I decided that the Miles Edgeworth I knew had died. At least, that's what I told myself. You pathetic fool. Miss Von Karma, we were having a nice heart-to-heart and then you ruined it. I don't want to hear the wretched whimpering of a disgraced loser. Von Karma is someone who is destined to be perfect. Miles Edgeworth, you are no longer worthy, but you've lost just as much as him. You are no longer worthy of being a Von Karma, and neither am I. It's over. It's all over. Okay. Francesca threw something on the ground just now. This is an electromagnetic receiver. Isn't that the thing she used to track Detective Gumshoe? I'll return this to the precinct later. There's something else. Isn't that Miss Von Karma's whip? I'll never set foot in another courtroom again. I'm sure that's what she's saying by this action. Hey, who do I sound like? Whatcha! Whatcha! That's not really a whip noise, but whatcha! I can't do a whip noise, but, we're pretending to be Von Karma with the whip. Edgeworth, what's your safe word? You should keep this, right? Okay. Nick! Maya! Mystic Maya! Mystic Maya! Aww. Maya, looks like your eyes are bulging out of your skull. Oh, Nick, I knew you would come through. You got on guard convicted like I knew you would. And on top of that, you even rescued me. Well, of course I did. You know I'd never desert you. But we sure pressed our luck this trial. You're really lucky to be standing here. Whatever, whatever. Look, it's over, okay? Besides, if I did croak, I would just come back and haunt you like a bad ghost through Pearly. Is it really that easy to do something like that? Thanks a lot, Nick. Don't mention it. Maya? Oh, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm relieved you're alright. Hey, it looks like you've made some real progress, Mr. Edgeworth. Come on. Whoop for us, baby. Well, I suppose I'm a little different from who I was a year ago. I was gonna say, I was surprised food hadn't been mentioned yet. Alright. I think it's time we get out of this depressing place. Huh? Where are we going? Food, Nick! Food! Grub! Chow! I'm starved. I'm so hungry, even you like a nice juicy burger on a bun to me, Nick. You think I like a burger? I'm a prime rib at least. Come with us, Mr. Edgeworth, please? If you insist. Alright, so how about we hit up our usual burger joint? Edgeworth's paying. I am? Don't be silly, Nick. Huh? This case messed up that awesome evening and got in the way of my gourmet food. I've decided we have to make it up by having another feast. Another feast? Come on, Nick. Food! Maya, the food's been sitting there for like 3 days. Don't care. Hey, pal. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. Gumshoe, are you alright? Yeah, but I'm really embarrassed. I mean, I didn't think I'd hit a telephone pole of all things. Telephone pole? Then it wasn't a red light that got him? You did it again, city boy! Felt like my dear old heart was gonna give out on me, and I ain't joking. Yeah, it was more exciting than the last episode of Steel Samurai. Thanks. Now look at here, Mr. Snooty Prosecutor. Don't you reckon you bullied Mr. Wright too hard? If you don't start being a lot nicer to him, he might just kick it. Tonight, even. I'll keep that in mind. Well, come on now. Everyone gather around. Y'all are gonna get your picture taken by a genuine professional photographer. Looks like Lotta brought herself a new camera. Well, pal, at least we can put this messy case behind us now. Come on, tonight's all about eating, so let's go chow down, pal. Amen to that, pal. Amen. You know, when you think about it, you were the one that saved the day, detective. Huh? Me? You really think so? He's right, sadly. If it wasn't for the 3 items you took, I think this trial would have had a very different ending. Or my name isn't Smug Edgeworth. Well, you know, Phoenix, that means you gotta give me a raise. Wait, huh? Wait. That's odd. When I ran off with the things from Daykiller's hideout, I was sure I took 4 things in total, sir. What? 4? Yeah, sure I put one of those items in my coat pocket. It was a 4th item? Oh, come on, y'all, it's over. Oh boy, I tell you really are something else. But between getting accused of murder and getting kidnapped, never a dull moment with you, huh? You really think? Why does she look so happy about that? You know, being shut away for 2 whole days. Weren't you scared? Yeah, it was really scary. I felt so hopeless. So to keep my mind off of things, I drew a picture. Sounds like you had it rough, gal. So where's this picture of yours? Yeah, I want to see it. I want to see Miss Maya's picture. Is that the 4th item? You know, I don't know where it went. Aw, that's too bad. Well, it's alright. It wasn't anything important anyway. Ah. It sure is nice to finally see them both smiling again. Oh no. Oh no, the Von Karma alert. What is it, Edgeworth? This thing is picking up something. Ah! That's the Miss Von Karma receiver! Thanks to her, I had the most awful experience of my life, sir. I can't believe she stuck a tracking device on me. That's odd. Even though you're standing right here, the tracking device seems to be in a different location. Oh, it's, probably busted or something, sir. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm afraid it's about time for me to excuse myself. I still have some work to do. But the chicken, Edgeworth, the chicken! Huh? But Mr. Edgeworth, you haven't even eaten anything yet. And you've eaten way too much, you glutton. I had fun tonight. Now if you'll excuse me. I will be taking this chicken to go, though. Wait. What? I just want to say, thanks, Edgeworth. You really saved me out there. If anyone should be saying thanks, it should be me, right? I feel like words alone aren't enough here. I wonder if there's anything I can give him to express how I feel. How about this knife? Take the whip. What's this? Thank you. It's all thanks to you two. You and her. Sitting in a tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G. You don't need to thank me. I was only doing my job. Looks like Mr. Edgeworth has left, Mr. Nick. Hey, Mystic Maya! Yeah, Pearly? I guess you two can go back to being lovey-dovey, right? You and Mr. Nick, I mean. But Pearly, would you cut it out already? You're embarrassing me. Anyway, so, who's paying for this lovely dinner party? 1, 2, 3, not it. As if you need to ask. Everyone say thank you to Nick. Nick has no money. Huh? Ah, yeah, I'm kind of at the point where I can't even buy instant noodles, pal. Well, I already got your name on the bill. What? Yeah, got me a situation just like that myself. There's this camera shop in this hotel, see? And I just brought myself this good old beauty right here. It better be anyhow for 3,000 smackaroons. What? Where'd you get that money from anyway? Actually, I reckon you bought it for me since it's all on your tab and all. What? What? Huh? Isn't this great, Mr. Nick? Yeah, Nick. Why do I suddenly feel like screaming? Oh, you don't need to hold back now, you hear? Yeah, pal, time to let it all out. This is gonna be the first time I hear the real you. Come on, it's been a while since I heard you say it. I've been busy being a hostage and all. I'm gonna frickin' send you all to jail for embezzlement. Alright then, if you say so. That's a very good ending. I like the little kind of lengthy little wrap up there at the end. I'm glad it didn't just like instantly end as soon as the trial was over. You really came through for me, Nick. I had to hide that letter, but I knew you'd find it. I really feel like I've been living on edge lately. Edgeworth, like, more like. I mean, I've escaped death 3 times now, huh? Pretty cool. I feel like a pro. So we'll probably wait to talk. I haven't decided if we're gonna make this like 1 2-hour long video or what. I'm so happy you could save Mystic Maya, Mr. Nick. And I'm so happy for the 2 of you. Speaking of which, I think this hotel is a popular place for honeymooners. So I sort of made reservations for the 2 of you, just in case. What? Did you use your Crane Village allowance to do that? Because we can't afford it. Well, pal, looks like I'm back on the force again. No sexy French maid outfit for me. Mr. Edgeworth had a long talk with the chief and he got me reinstated. I heard he said things like, letting that one go is bad for society. I knew it, crashing headlong into everything is the only way to live, pal. If only you could stop talking so fast. I mean, it's not really going fast just to read, but to read it out loud, it's a little fast. Oh, I forgot about you. I, Maggie Bird, am retiring this uniform as of today, sir. I'm going to be a waitress from now on. And bring smiles and joy to the people who come by the restaurant, sir. Hope you'll stop by sometime, Mr. Wright. Not too often you see people quit a job to become a waitress. Yes, are you here to visit a patient? I'm Director Hottie. Ho ho. Recently, yes, that girl, you know, I haven't seen her around. Yes. But I remember if I ever laid so much as an eye on her, it would go crack. It didn't matter if I got whipped, though. Yes, oh ho ho. She kept ignoring my safe word. I do like the little credit song as well. It's time to begin our quest of world circus domination, sweetie. And to let the world know we are serious, I plan to make a fabulous flight to Zimbabwe. Hey, Max, what do you think Zimbabwe's like? Do you think there are castles made of cake and bunnies who can talk? I mean, there's lions. I think that if there are any talking bunnies, even they won't laugh at most jokes. I'm ready. There's no way these jokes are gonna fall on deaf ears. I'm gonna be more contemporary with my humor. Mo Curls represent. We've got our new act all worked out. Prepare for the Hallelujah Chorus. Say something, will ya? You're supposed to start this off. Get on with it. What's this? It's just an ordinary electric razor recharged on its stand. I can't believe this. Really? How long do they plan on keep making me do this? But it's Edgy Poo's idea, so that means it must have a deep, hidden meaning. But why do I get the feeling they wouldn't forget about me, would they? I was never like this in the old days. Everyone thought the world of me. They used to call me Queen Wendy and treat me like royalty, and the mean man has heard about this is going to feel the pain in my heel. Yeah, they're going to feel the burn. And speaking of burn, playing with fire is very dangerous. Because of that, 3 of the warehouses they stored the scenery down were burned right down and caused a huge stink that makes me lightheaded, man. I appreciate everything you and Mr. Edgeworth did for me from the bottom of my heart. Oh, that's right, I received a letter from Miss Von Karma. She said that after I get out, I should feel free to consult her about anything at all. I mean, what do you... I guess you got, like, obstruction of justice? I'm really thankful to have everyone met. To have met everyone. Have everyone met. Yeah, that makes sense. It has become difficult for me in this country as of late. As such, I will take a short leave of absence. If you would like to request my services, please be sure to visit my homepage. May we both be blessed with longevity, unless I'm ordered to kill you, of course. So do we get to see the picture? Oh, we're not quite done. Not quite done. International Departures, Gate 12. Where are you going, Francesca? How did you know I was here? With this. That's... I heard you were planting things on a certain person. Things like tracking devices in his coat, for example. That's just like you. I only planted it there because he was always wearing it. This filthy, drab coat of his. So I guess that's how they found his, found where he wrecked. I don't know how it ended up in my luggage, but it's going in the trash, I promise you that. Oh, that's right. Speaking of that man, he told me something very interesting. When I ran off with things from the Day Killer's hideout, you just saw this like 5 minutes ago, pal. Do you really need a refresher? I was sure I took 4 things in total, sir. 4 things? Seems he put the last one in his coat pocket. He put it in here? Doesn't matter anymore. The case is already over. What are you going to do now? That's none of your business. Are you running away? Shut up! You don't understand a thing. You cannot possibly understand what it means to be Manfred von Karma's daughter. Francesca? So many expectations from everyone around me, expectations I must fulfill. I'm expected to win no matter what, and failure? Such a thing is not an option for me. My father was a genius, there's no doubt about that. But me? I'm no genius. I've always known that. But I had to be one. I had to. You may not be a genius like your father, but you are a prosecutor. You have been and always will be. No, I'm not. Not anymore. I've even thrown my whip away. Speaking of that, Wright gave me this to hold on to. Right. You knew something like this would happen, didn't you? I'm going to say this again. We prosecutors do not fight for personal honor or pride. I hope you will think deeply about what you should be striking down with that whip. You haven't changed a bit. You've always left me alone and walked on ahead without me. Miles Edgeworth. I've always hated you. And then, finally my chance to take revenge on you arrived. If I could win against that man, I could make Phoenix, if I could make Phoenix Wright bow in defeat, then this girl you left behind would have risen higher than you. That was supposed to be my revenge. I see. You know, I can't do it. I can't change who I am. I can't throw away everything I've been up until now. I believe you can. Just like Adrian Andrews did. Adrian Andrews? You were going to use her during the trial, right? But you were dependent on your father by using his tactics. Isn't that right? Today you chased after me, after I'd left you behind all these years. And that's why we're standing here now, side by side. But I have no intention of stopping. If you say you are going to quit your walk down the prosecutor's path, then this is where we part ways. Francesca von Karma. Oh, I am Francesca von Karma. Don't think I'm going to walk in your shadow forever. Our battle begins now. So you'd better prepare yourself, Miles Edgeworth. This is a really great, like, little final scene. Phoenix Wright. One day, someday, I'm sure we'll meet again in battle. Until then, this last piece of evidence that never made it to you, I'll take good care of this fourth piece, so I can give it to you when at last we meet again. It is the drawing. Oh, it's on the little card. That's kind of what I assumed it had to have been. Alright, all is forgiven. Case 4 is good. I'll admit it. They made me say it. It's actually really good. I do highly value endings when it comes to assessing games. I think that ending was incredibly good. So basically all my complaints throughout Justice for All are forgiven. Now, in regard to the third game, I have to take a break. Like, I think going into Trials and Tribulations too soon is going to be a mistake. I think taking a bit of a break from Phoenix Wright and maybe doing some, I've been enjoying playing visual novels here on the channel for a while, and they will continue to be a staple going forward because I think it just works really well with my humor. Like, I feel like some of these, I feel like these Phoenix Wright videos in particular, like, are some of the funniest and most entertaining videos I make. So I definitely do want to keep doing, like, visual novel style content on the channel, but I think I want to take a break. There's a few other games I kind of want to play, so we'll probably take a moderate length break. I don't know if we'll come back. When we come back, we'll probably play Danganronpa 3. In terms of like visual novel stuff, and then when we finish that, we'll circle back to Phoenix Wright and finish off the trilogy. And then, I mean, I know there's like a bunch more games after that I would like to play them all. And, you know, it may not be might take a while to make our way through the entire series, but I'm committed. You know, that's one thing. I've got like a whole bunch of like series I've started Let's Plays on that like I'm like pot committed to, in terms of like I know I'm going to be playing them for like the next like several years of my life, as long as I'm able to keep doing Let's Plays and all that, at least semi-consistently. But I don't know. I mean, it was a very good ending. I do still stand by the first investigation and the first half of the trial, or the first trial, like part 1 and 2 of the case are kind of weak. I'm not a huge fan of them. The third investigation is very good, and the fourth trial is very good. A couple little minor plot problems, like I didn't really like the handwriting analysis one, and the little final bit about like what do you want to show, like who do you want to show this to, was kind of misleading because you're not showing it to anyone. Like, you know, how you're just describing the videotape to him. Like, why would he have any reason to believe that you're telling the truth? He has no reason to believe you. So, that was a little... I mean, it makes sense logically, because, I mean, I suggested that as an idea, that, like, show him the video, then he'll want to break the contract. So, I had the right idea. It's just the way it's explained and phrased makes it sound like that's not what they want. Like, if it's something you have to show to someone in the courtroom, it makes me think that you have to show it to On Guard, because he's the only person that's actually in the courtroom. And it does kind of make sense to, like, show him the video, and then be like, hey, if we were to tell Day Killer about this, he would want to get his revenge. So, I mean, it still kind of, like, makes sense. But that one's I'm mostly okay with. The handwriting analysis prompt I did not like, just because they had not previously, like... You have no reason to know that the game cares about handwriting analysis. So, overall, very good. I'm really glad that we pushed through and finished the game today. I think this is, I don't know. I think this is going to be its own standalone video. Just because I feel like there's enough here to warrant its own video and whatnot. We'll see how I think. I don't know. Maybe we'll make it one long video. It depends. What part would this be if this was the finale? Would it be part 33? I like to end Let's Plays on even numbers. For some reason, I don't know. It just looks nice. So, I don't know. I'll give myself... I've got about a week before this video goes up. I think part 25 goes up today. 25 or 26. So there's about like a week or so long backlog. Don't really know what we're going to play next. I got a few options that I'm kicking around in my head. But, yeah. I'm Extra Cheesy 87. Stay tuned for the next part, or next Let's Play. And bye, guys.